Hey y'all, it's Mandy and this is my weight loss journey update. We're going to be talking about my 16th week experience with Mounjaro and my experience with gastric sleeve surgery, which I had done in June of 2020. Well, not really my experience. I'm not going to go in depth with the gastric sleeve surgery. I have other videos on that if you want to go and check those out. I just like to include the numbers with that because some of you all have been here with me since then, and that's what brought you to this channel, and so I don't ever want to leave that out for that reason, and because it is a big part of my journey, and I don't ever want to fail to recognize that or fail to mention that and make it, like it wasn't that big of a deal, because it really was. And I say that way because I kind of feel like I could have lost the weight that I lost with gastric sleeve. Before Mounjaro, of course, because the Mounjaro, I feel like I said last week, got me past what I thought was is my set weight point. But I think I could have lost the weight that I lost with gastric sleeve on my own without the surgery, but I'm not sure I could have kept it off, because that was where I always seemed to stumble, because I'd lost massive amounts of weight before in the past. But the struggle came with keeping it off, and the gastric sleeve surgery has been crucial at helping me to do that. So let's jump right into 10 things that I want to talk about that I consider must-haves for myself. Now, there's more things that I could have put on this list, and there's things that you may agree with or disagree with, and you may have found this video because you're about to have gastric sleeve surgery or start your Mounjaro journey, and you're just curious as to, what everybody else has recommended. Don't just watch this video and make your list. Do your research by watching multiple videos and have like some backups. For instance, like my number 3 is going to be something that you get from your doctor. It might be something that won't agree with you. So, there's other medications that you could ask for, different types of different things that we'll talk about now. So, yeah, do your research and watch multiple videos, follow multiple people's journeys, and just kind of get like a collective idea. And that way, if one thing doesn't seem to work for you, you'll have, and take notes when you do that, guys, so you don't have to rumble back through your history and find videos and this and that. I'm a big pen and paper note taker, and my husband thinks it's silly because we have notes on our phone and whatnot, but I'm just pen and paper. But I recommend, whatever your method is, take notes so that way you've got it on hand, and like if you need it quickly, you'll have it and don't have to go back through your watch history on YouTube or whatever. Okay, so and by the way, I always mention too that I live in a noisy place, and you're going to hear some noise today again probably, and there's just really nothing I can do about that. So my number one, and well, I say number one, but these are in no particular, order of importance or anything like that. And that's another thing that right here, what you're hearing and seeing, this happens to me all the time, and it's happened since gastric sleeve. I call them the hiccup burps. It's like a hiccup and a burp, and they sometimes just randomly happen, but usually it's when I know to stop eating when I'm eating, and sometimes it even happens when I need to eat. So it's really just a matter of me figuring out why it's happening at that given moment in time, and just kind of assessing the situation. So my number one thing, and I would say that this came more into play for myself since Mounjaro, and not necessarily since gastric sleeve, but since Mounjaro, I have really found electrolytes to be a big help. They help with muscle cramps, fatigue. I've even noticed that on the days that I wake up feeling a little nauseous, if I can just get in even like I have these Yeti tumblers, cups. They have, I'll show you the spout here. Because after weight loss surgery, they don't recommend you drinking through a straw. So I kind of got hooked on these type of tops. I think they're called chug tops, maybe. But now I'm not saying you need to go out and spend, money on a Yeti. Any cup that you can put your electrolytes in and just kind of keep it on hand, even if you have to sip it throughout the day. But I've noticed when I wake up nauseous, if I can just get, I don't know, maybe not even half, like a quarter of that tumbler of electrolytes in, it makes a big difference. And if I do that before I have my morning coffee and then wait like 30 minutes, my coffee doesn't make me nauseous, because there are mornings that I have not been able to have my morning coffee, which is devastating for me. Because if you know me at all, then you know how I love my morning coffee. So that would be number one. Number two, and I will link these things in the description box for you. I got most of these at Walmart and Amazon. They're not going to be like links to where I make any money or anything like that. So shop around, get the best deal you can find, always. Number two is Tums, or what's the other brand? I can't think of it, but there's two brands of the Antacid Chewies. They look like a Mentos that have added gas relief in those. I highly, highly recommend those for anybody that is having gastric sleeve and or on your Mounjaro journey. You've got to be kidding me. All has been quiet on the home front until I sat down to do this. Somebody's here, I don't know who it is, but I'm going to keep talking because it might just be somebody turning around in my driveway. So, since gastric sleeve, I have had issues with trapped gas. Not just in the days after surgery, how that's normal to have the gas pains up in your chest and this and that. It will just hit me all of a sudden, and it will bend me over in pain. Still to this day, I have issues with that 4 years after surgery. And it kind of mimics the onset, if you ever had dumping syndrome after bariatric surgery. It's that kind of feeling, how when that first hits, those stomach cramps, and you think you're just really like you're just going to meet your maker. And that's not just for gastric sleeve or bariatric patients overall. Those will also help with the what they call those, like the sulfur burps, and heartburn is pretty common when you're on a GLP-1. So I just recommend having those on hand because they help so many things. Nausea. People say they help diarrhea, but I've never found that to be true for myself personally. Heartburn and gas, like if you experience any of those things, just I promise you won't regret keeping those on hand. I actually keep a bottle in my purse, in my office, and if the weather's not too hot outside, I'll keep one in my truck. So, number three, I have written down here Bentyl. It is a prescription medication that my doctor actually gave me for IBS, but then we kind of discovered that it helps with dumping syndrome, and it has really, really helped me, I think, with the gastric side effects since starting a GLP-1. I really think that this medication is probably why I haven't had a lot of the massive gastric side effects that other people have experienced. Because usually, if it is going to affect your gut and it's 1 in a million people that's going to have the side effect, I'm your one person. But I really think that the Bentyl is what has helped me to avoid any major gastric side effects. Now, I did have some issues the morning after my first Mounjaro shot. But really, as far as gastric issues have gone, I've just had a little like gassiness, like rumbly. You know what I'm talking about? Like gassy rumbles. And they've passed. So I think that the Bentyl has played a role in that. So if you have a doctor that is willing to hear you out and give you something like that, I would talk with your healthcare provider about that. Or if that's something that you can't take or don't want to take, then, maybe ask them about a different option that kind of does the same thing. There are other choices that I think might be a little less expensive if you don't have insurance, but my insurance pays for that for the most part. I think I have to pay like $5 for it, maybe 10. I'm sorry if you hear my son. He's upstairs talking to somebody. Okay, number 4 for me is going to be Tylenol. If you are weight loss surgery, then it's probably going to be Tylenol for you too, for the headaches that Mounjaro can cause. And if you're not on a GLP-1 and you're just here for the weight loss surgery updates, then just, your pain in general, because you cannot take any NSAIDs after having a weight loss surgery. So that means no Aleve, which was my go-to before gastric sleeve, no Motrin, anything like that. So I suggest having Tylenol on hand, especially for GLP-1 headaches. Number 5, I suggest keeping some sort of bland snack on hand for those days that you just can't even stomach the thought of food, but you need something in your body. Have some crackers, pretzels, something like that. My go-to is usually wheat thins, the plain wheat thins. They sit okay on my stomach, or like you can buy the little mini saltines, club crackers, and those kinds of things. And on Amazon, I'll link these in the description. You can get some ginger chews. Those helped me quite a bit. I didn't reorder them because I caught myself just eating them, just to be eating them when I wasn't even nauseous. And so I thought, well, let me just not keep those on hand. I mean, they're just like little pieces. You can get them in the bigger chunks, but I just got the little tiny ones. And there's, I got the variety packs. There was like 4 flavors. There was coconut, original, mango, and maybe lemon, I'm thinking. But yeah, I was just eating them to be eating them when I didn't even need them. So I thought, well, I'm just not going to keep those on hand because just something else I have to break myself, of a habit from. So, but if you're suffering from really bad nausea and you can refrain from eating them like candy, I would try those because they did help. Number 6, I recommend using a thick, just good quality body butter or lotion or body cream, especially if you're going to be losing a lot of weight. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to help you avoid any loose skin at all. Chances are it's not. But as you go on any weight loss journey, no matter what your approach is or what tools you're using, because you're more than likely consuming less foods and foods contain water naturally, a lot of our fruits and vegetables, and we're just not eating a lot of those after gastric sleeve or on Mounjaro, and it's hard to get in food and water both at the same time. And if your weight loss surgery patient, you're actually not supposed to be consuming both together because there's just not enough room for one or the other, and you kind of got to pick, which sucks. So your skin can become dry, and just mine sometimes, like, I'll look at it and it don't even look or feel dry to the touch, but like if I just move my arm, it just feels like it feels dry. You know how that feeling if you're recovering from a sunburn and your skin just feels tight? It sometimes feels like that, and then I'll realize like I haven't been drinking as much water as I should be, so it's kind of like a dehydration from the inside out. But I mean, you have to hydrate from the inside out, but a good thick lotion just kind of helps with that annoying sensation. And I think that if you stay on top of things with your skin, you may not, avoid it completely as far as like loose skin or crepey skin, but what's it hurt to help to try to improve it at least? So my favorite is Palmer's cocoa butter, and I recently got the firming formula, and I'm liking it pretty good. And I got another one from Amazon. I can't think of the name of it now, but it's advanced something, and it has retinol in it, and I'm really loving that. The jury is still out if I will love it more than Palmer's. It takes a hella lotion for me to say I love it more than Palmer's, because Palmer's is like, to me, it's everything. Number 7, protein. Shortly after, or well, in the early days after gastric sleeve, I used Isopure. It's a powder protein, and I used that because, well, it was highly recommended by a lot of weight loss surgery patients here on YouTube, and the scoop is really small, and it has 30 grams of protein in it. I can't remember now about the calories, but I'll link it in the comments or in the description, and you can check that out. But it has no taste, no smell, anything like that. And excuse me, I would just put it, because it was a really small scoop, or is a really small scoop, I would put it in just like a small amount of water, let it dissolve. I would let it sit there while I did whatever, like maybe, wash the dishes or unload the dishwasher or whatever, and let it dissolve some on its own, and then give it a good stir, and just kind of just throw it back like a shot just to get her done, okay? And then as I got a little further out from weight loss surgery and was able to have some morning coffee without any nausea, I would add it into my morning coffee, and it did not change the flavor. But since then, since I've been able to consume more liquids and foods, I had switched to Premier Protein. The cafe latte is still my favorite, but what is it? Atkins protein shakes. They have a mocha latte that I really like a lot. It only has, I shouldn't say only, it has 15 grams of protein in it versus the 30 grams of the Premier Protein. But I found the Atkins one to be a little gentler on my stomach. I felt like the Premier was making me really bloated, and so I still buy the Atkins from time to time, but now usually what I do, if the Atkins is on sale, and it is a lot of times on Sam's website, I will buy the Equate brand vanilla, because my son likes it too, and I like to add different flavor syrups to mine to just switch up the flavors. I use those in my morning coffee, my iced proffies. I even put them in yogurt sometimes. So even with the Greek yogurt, I will buy the light Greek vanilla, so that I can just add those flavors to it without, you know, making it nasty. Like it, you know, you can get just about anything to taste good with vanilla. So a lot of times I will just get the Equate brand vanilla. It's the only flavor that I have tried in the Equate, and I've just kind of stuck with it because, like I said, my son likes it too, and it works well with all the flavors. And I will have just half of the shake. Me and him will actually have one shake, and so they last longer that way. And so really, I'm getting more bang for my buck if I just get the vanilla and we split one shake a day. So that's an idea. Number 8. This is recommended by yours truly for both gastric sleeve, post-op, and if you are on a GLP-1. That is going to be Miralax or something like it. I know there's different brands, but it seems to be the one that is easiest on my stomach. My stomach is really sensitive to things. And so since I had to take that one, why did I take, colonoscopy. And then I seen that it didn't really cause me all the stomach cramps that others have in the past. I've just to kind of keep it on hand for, you know, those times. You could get the, there's Fiber One makes one, but that cramped my stomach. So just try and see what works for you and keep something like that on hand, because constipation while you're on a GLP-1 is real. Constipation after weight loss surgery is real. Some people have diarrhea, but the majority is going to have constipation, and I really think it's just because we're just not eating and drinking as much as our body is accustomed to or needs even. So number 9, highly suggest getting a journal, taking notes. I do this daily since starting GLP-1. I've been a daily weigher for a long time now. Just got into the habit of it when me and my doctor were tracking some inflammation and water retention, and just kind of went with it. But if the scale is going to your mind up, then don't weigh daily. But keep a journal nearby by your bed or wherever you might sit for the morning. If you take a few minutes for yourself in the morning just to kind of get your bearings together, just in case there's something you want to jot down, post a note on your phone, just something so that you have something to refer back to, because I know myself, I tend to forget things a lot, and I used Bariatric Pal app to track all my food and water intake and things like that for a long time after gastric sleeve. I'm going to say that I just recently stopped using that actually and started using just a journal. I think I showed it to you guys before, but I'll go ahead and show you now. I picked this up off of or from Amazon. I really like it because, and you'll see, I'll just show you what I ended up doing with it since starting a GLP-1, because there's nothing really to track. I would just write like my day for, and I should have used it just like a plain notebook to do this. I don't know why I went with still using this and kind of wasted the pages, but it's got a place for the date, your exercise, your reps, and sets, and all of that. Warm up, cool down, start and finish, stretch, your water intake, cardio, place for cardio notes. It's a really good journal to have. But if you don't want to spend money on something like this, just go to the dollar store and grab you a notebook and make your own little sections. And that way you can just customize it to how you want to keep it customized. And I especially recommend this with food. If you feel like something gave you some kind of reaction that just wasn't very comfortable, write it down. Because you know, later on you may forget that, and you may want to refer back and see, you know, how that's changed over time. I mean, there's things that I could tolerate before gastric sleeve that my stomach just can't handle afterwards. One of those things being iceberg lettuce. I cannot eat it. To this day, if I want a salad or lettuce on something, romaine or something leafy like that, or spinach is what I have to have. I cannot handle iceberg lettuce. There was a few other things, and they're not coming to me now. But I promise I have notes upstairs. If I really wanted to check back, I could. So I really recommend keeping a journal. Sorry, you hear Bash. That's our lab. He's right there outside that window. I don't know if you've heard me mention on other videos. Our neighbors have cats. And they just post up, like on this rock on the hillside out behind our house, like right outside of our fence, behind my fence. Just post up on this rock and just stare at him. It's like they love tormenting him, which is, it's kind of funny, but when you're on here trying to do something like this, it's kind of annoying too. But hey, what are you going to do? Okay, number 10, I recommend taking magnesium. Not so much after weight loss surgery was my sleep disturbed, but definitely after starting GLP-1, I have nights. Probably first 2 days after my shot, I have trouble sleeping. And I found that after regular use of magnesium. Now, for me personally, it's not one of those things that I can take and on the first night, I'm like, oh, that made a difference. I slept like a baby. I found that it helps me if I stay consistent, you know, with taking it. And it took, I'm going to say about a week, between a week to 2 weeks for me to be able to feel a difference with that. And not just the magnesium, I'll go ahead and group in with that vitamins and minerals and the such that you really should stay on top of those after weight loss surgery. And if you're on a gastric sleeve, doctors, nutritionists, you know, and the like recommend you taking a good multivitamin, calcium, vitamin D, iron, vitamin C, B12, and I recommend biotin. And that's because of hair loss. And it doesn't matter what tool you're using, what approach, whether it's gastric sleeve, bariatric, Mounjaro, with any type of weight loss, if it's massive weight loss, and if it's going to happen a little quickly especially, hair loss is a potential side effect for everyone. Okay, and I'll say number 11, but it's really just like a bonus tip. Take pictures. Don't just depend on the scale and that be your end all be all. Scale can be very tricky. Take pictures, take measurements, write those measurements down in your journal, which was number 9. I promise you, you won't see the difference until you reflect back on your pictures. Other people will see it before you will. And so if you had those pictures and those measurements to kind of refer back to, especially if it's a day where you're just feeling kind of blah, maybe the scale just kind of hurt your feelings a little bit, look at your pictures, take new pictures, take your measurements, and go off of those instead of the scale. I jump into these numbers. I came across a video yesterday. Chalene Johnson. Most people know who she is from Beachbody, but she has a YouTube channel. She has a podcast. She's a boss babe. She's doing the thing, okay? I watch her on a regular basis. But this video that she done yesterday with Dr. Tina, Tyna, she has a YouTube channel on here too, and she does a podcast. This video is packed, I mean jam-packed full of so much interesting information, excuse me, concerning GLP-1s and hormones. If you are female go check this out. You can go watch it if you're a guy too, even if this doesn't apply to you and you got a wife or a girlfriend that is on a GLP-1 and you're just trying to understand what the hell is going on with her sometimes, and she's of a certain age, go watch this video. It'll help you understand that too. But the video is called Low Dose Ozempic for Hormonal Weight Loss and Shocking Brain Fog Benefits. Or, I'm not sure if brain fog was on the title, but I know, brain was. Go check that video out. I thought it was really, really interesting. So, okay, let's get into the numbers. My highest weight ever, and I can say this with confidence because, like I said, daily weigher, even at this time, even though I didn't like what the scale was saying, I still did it for whatever reason. But my highest weight was 259.2. The day that I had gastric sleeve surgery in June of 2020, I weighed in on the hospital scale at 250. When I started GLP-1, I started with Saxenda, I weighed 199.9. When I started Mounjaro, I weighed 177. Last week, I had a jump on the scale, and that was due to some inflammation and water retention because that week that I skipped Mounjaro. I really think that that's the only reason that happened. I did eat some pretzels that week, which is something that I had stopped eating in the past because they caused water retention, but I just wanted something different. So I don't know if it was, just skipping the Mounjaro, because like I said, I kind of noticed the return of some swelling before I felt like the pretzels would have had time to kick my ass like they did. But it was probably a combination of both by the time, the end of the week rolled around. But I know that Mounjaro is definitely helping with the inflammation and the water retention that I've struggled with for so long. And even when I started Saxenda, I noticed a difference with those things, and belly bloat. So the scale jumped up last week, and I was 157.4. Today, I weighed in at 153.6. So, that means this week, from last week till today, and let me mention this too by saying last week's weigh-in was on Sunday. Today, because I said I was going to try to push out my shot day as long as I could, today is Monday, the day you're seeing this, and I've decided not to do that just because I want to stay ahead of the hot flashes, the inflammation, and the water retention, because none of those are any fun for me. And so I'm just going to stay on top of it and not try to stretch it out. If it comes down to it, I will just go with the reputable compound company. So I am down 3.8 pounds since last week. That is, if it's not the highest, it is close to the highest loss that I've seen, but I think it was just some of that water retention, my body shedding that water retention that I had from the week before. Since starting Mounjaro, I have lost 23.4 pounds. Since GLP-1, I've lost 46.3. Since gastric sleeve, I have lost 96.4, and my total weight loss on this journey is 105.6 pounds. Yeah, it just don't feel real to be able to say that. It's like I know that it's happened, but it just hasn't sunk in yet. Let me know in the comments how your journey's going. I love when you guys share your journey with me, your ups, even your downs. Let's just share all the things. I love the new friends that I've made on here, and I love my day ones, and I appreciate every one of you equally, and I hope everybody is well, and I will see you guys in a week.